The Coalition to Dismantle the New Jim Crow was formed to improve the quality of life for Black and brown people by uncovering and ending institutional and systemic racial discrimination. Yes, racism still exists in America. We know that African Americans were enslaved in the United States from 1619 to 1865. The official story is slavery wasn't legally abolished until the ratification of the 13th Amendment on January 31st, 1865. But while the 13th Amendment seemingly abolished slavery, racism continued to thrive in America and still continues to thrive. Between the 1870s and 1950s, state legislatures implemented laws that oppressed African Americans. These laws became known as Jim Crow laws. Laws like blacks being separated from whites in public transportation, in schools, in restaurants, and most public accommodations. But what you may not know is that the 13th Amendment allowed for slavery as a punishment for being convicted of a crime. And we know that there were many crimes that were implemented that just applied to African Americans. They were known as black codes. People could be arrested for not having a job. Today, the United States still uses the legal system to enslave African Americans and maintain racism. It's called the New Jim Crow. Under the New Jim Crow, local, state, and federal laws are more harshly applied to African Americans. Black men who commit the same crimes as white men receive federal prison sentences that are on average nearly 20% longer than those done by whites. This is where we come in. In 2013, after having study groups around Michelle Alexander's book, The New Jim Crow, Mass Incarceration in the Age of Colorblindness, over 20 organizations and churches came together to form the Coalition to Dismantle the New Jim Crow. Once created, the coalition immediately positioned itself as a community resource supporting all positive efforts to overcome racial bias. We provided workshops on cultural relations for the incoming class of police officers, developed an anti-racism committee that later expanded to a workshop entitled Transforming Racism that was offered statewide. We're also proud to work with the ACLU to support legislation that would directly impact the school-to-prison pipeline. Under the New Jim Crow, prisons are used to fuel the economy. Inmates can be forced to participate in prison labor programs where pay tends to be from 25 cents to $5 an hour. Those are definitely slave wages. The coalition was a strong advocate for HB 204, which involved bail reform and the pre-trial process. In 2015, we hosted a free conference for over 400 people with great information from guest speakers and breakout sessions that were geared to help people take action. In 2018, we are partnering with the YWCA, the Achievement Center, and various other organizations to host workshops and discussion groups. We expect individuals and organizations to come out and take part in the focus groups where we will set actionable goals and discuss the ways we can work together to see them out moving forward. Join us in the fight against racism, white supremacy, slavery, and the New Jim Crow by being called to action.